Hey guys, we're back with part 2 of our Game of the Year category winners. If you missed part 1, you can find a link to it in the description below, and of course we have part 3 coming up with our overall top 5 Game of the Year winners for each of us. Otherwise, let's hop right back in where we left off at. Moving on, best narrative, Derek. I think you have I know what one of these.
Oh, you probably know this for a fact, but the funny thing is I didn't get to play a lot of narrative games, a few of them in here and whatnot, but I do have to give it to Persona 5 as a runner-up. I mean, I have not finished the game yet, but what they're building to, what they've done so far, I've loved the heck out of. Like, it's one of those things where it kills me when I have to stop every time in order to actually, work on games that are coming out and do those reviews. So I do want to get back to it. I'm actually probably going to be getting back to it very soon, now that I've finished up Xenoblade. Like, that's the thing, was like, more Xenoblade or actually finish Persona? And I think I'm going to go with Persona to actually finish it up and actually see the end of this story. But it is really that good. But because I didn't finish it, I couldn't give it the actual honors, and it has to go to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And I'm not even sure if it could beat it even if I had finished, because Xenoblade Chronicles 2, is just phenomenal when it comes to its narrative. It is such a wonderful, slow build where they just neatly slot in every little element, prepare you for everything that they're going to reveal later on, and have it all make sense. And it's very much the same way they've done it before with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and X. Like, they are expert craftsmen when it comes to just setup and payoff, and there is a huge payoff for those of you who reach the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and they handle the characters well. Nobody gets shoved to the side, kind of like the original Xenoblade. The story is impactful and entertaining, and just really get you at the heart. So many times, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it is just my favorite story of the year.
It's funny, you touched on something there, Derek. When I was going back over the games I had played to put together my list for this discussion, I too found out that I hadn't played that many narratively strong games this year. I didn't really play very many games this year with a focus on story, which is something I hope to remedy next year. But, so that kind of goes into this list. So my runner-up is a bit of a cheat because I haven't finished this game, but it just goes to show how,
I did the same with Persona.
Yeah, exactly. So so I'll cheat in the same way, and my runner-up is Nier Automata, because just
I really want to see that one.
Oh, it's so good. Like, just from the probably 15 hours I played so far, it's already way more interesting than almost any other game I played this year, story-wise, except for my winner. But I have a feeling that if I had had a chance to finish Nier Automata, it would be really, really vying for the top spot with my current winner, which is, of course, Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon is a great example of a sci-fi story done competently, and not only competently, but really well. They knocked it out of the park. I remember I would lie awake in bed after playing it, thinking, okay, what's the big twist? I haven't gotten to the twist yet.
Yeah, no spoilers.
I won't spoil anything, but what is Zero Dawn, and what happened to civilization? How did our civilization reach its downfall, and how did everything get to where it is now in the post-apocalypse? And the answer is not at all what I expected. I didn't puzzle it out myself. I didn't guess it. And it makes sense. Most importantly, it isn't just a stupid, that's the answer. No. It feels like a twist that makes sense within the world. It feels like it's a baked into the world's history and how things got to where they are now. And it's a twist that really works, and it's peppered with a bunch of other minor twists around that you also don't see coming. So I just think Horizon Zero Dawn, it may not be like the most amazing video game story ever, but of all the games I played this year, it's one of the best sci-fi stories I've played in a game, and it's just a really strong story overall, so I gotta give it to Horizon.
Alright, man, that's making me want to go through and play that game more.
Yes,
I started and didn't finish it, but the narrative that I did experience did hook me, and it wanted me to keep playing and find out more. So yeah, there's a good chance that had I been able to finish it in time, that maybe it would have ended up on my list. But since I didn't, it's not here. And as one who said many times before, I do value gameplay more than anything else. My choices are going to be a little bit more unconventional, I would say, especially because I'm not a huge RPG guy. So my runner-up is, although it is, I guess this one is a little bit RPG-esque at points. My runner-up is Stardew Valley. I like how the narrative unfolds with these characters in the town. Really, on a basis that's up to you. It kind of revolves around who you befriend and what your interactions with them throughout the day over the course of a year or two or multiple years. So just recently, one of my friends I had made at the bar that I was giving beers to every day passed out in his house from drinking too much. So,
way to feed his habit, Andre.
I know.
Jeez.
I felt a little bit bad about that. But there was actually a moment just last night that I thought was really cool. Was with one of the 5 girls I've been hitting on in town and making my potential wife. I went to her house one day and she invited me to play on her Super Nintendo a special game she had, like a top-down shooting game, and it was they framed it as it was you're playing this game as this built-in game. Within the game in a co-op manner, and as you're playing through it, you would have little comments that popped up on the side of the screen. It actually reminded me a little bit of of Uncharted 4 when they're playing Crash Bandicoot together, and I love that. I thought that was just a really cool touch, like that you're bonding with this character through a game in a game. It's such a unique thing that hasn't been done much before beyond the Uncharted 4 example I just gave. So yeah, like little stuff like that, those little vignettes. That is based around your performance in the game, I really like. So Stardew Valley is my runner-up. My overall narrative winner, though, is Super Mario Odyssey. Even though I realize it doesn't have much of a story, the story that is there, I liked. I liked that it had, the overarching story is, again, Bowser kidnaps Peach, big freaking deal. But I liked how they connected it through the levels this time with, like, little story elements in each one. How Bowser and Peach, I guess, are visiting each kingdom, picking up things along the way, and how
there's
all
this nice through line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it all kind of it all connects at the end. Not in any grand reveal, but just in a smaller scale type thing, but on a way we haven't quite seen in Mario before. And just the way they kind of just the way the story is interwoven throughout the game. Like, again, the New Donk City sequence, the festival is fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, it didn't, it's not a mind-blowing story, but the way they incorporate it into Mario makes it my favorite narrative of the year. So, yeah.
But, Andre, how can you reconcile the Mario timeline with Pauline's appearance as the mayor in New Donk City? How does that work? The Mario timeline?
It's so complicated, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. I was thinking about, and I mean, yeah, even though it's not necessarily the most in-depth story, I have to say there are some really strong character moments, particularly for Mario and Bowser toward the end of the game, so I can see what you mean, Andre, about it just being a fun, even if it's not surprising, it is a fun story to experience, especially if you're a fan of these characters, as of course we all are.
Actually, and I kind of forgot to touch on something, partially because I don't want to spoil it, and I won't, but I do want to say that part of the reason why I'm awarding it this for Best Narrative is, like, the way it wraps up too, like the lead up to that is fantastic, I thought. And then even at the end, how again, I'm not gonna say anything, but the things they do at the end aren't quite what I expected, and I really appreciated that. So yeah, I just loved, like, the whole journey through through the main game there, through the main story. So yeah,
sure.
All right, best local. So we have 2 awards here: best local multiplayer and best online multiplayer. So we are set. I did separate these categories, but I do think the answers can vary. So Derek, what was your favorite local multiplayer games of the year?
For my runner-up, I had Overcooked.
Yeah,
first time I got to try it
nice.
this year. I had a friend over, got to play it a bunch. Didn't finish it, but we got to play a good bit of it, and it's hectic. Like, you're trying to figure out the best way to do this, what role you should take, how you should get the orders done, keeping track of the orders. It is crazy how much you're working to keep just on top of everything, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great local multiplayer experience and fun on the Switch. Like, I know it had some sort of issues or whatever, but I never really noticed them, and they've since improved upon them too, so great stuff. But as far as my actual best local multiplayer, got to give it to Super Bomberman R. I was able to, I went to the Too Many Games convention, we got to play it there, and it was so fun to actually be in a room with people, play it together, and just, I don't know, I just had so much fun playing it. I wish I could play more, but yeah, it's Bomberman. Of course you're going to love it, and it still shines as a local multiplayer game, and with its online as well, if you want to do it that way, and made it a lot of fun, so yeah. Kind of simple answer, but yeah, that's why.
No, those are good answers, yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. So we're doing local multiplayer games. So
Correct.
My best my runner-up for local multiplayer games was, of course, in a year with no new Smash game, was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Just because I tend to have more fun with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I've been finding, in local multiplayer versus online multiplayer, because I very strongly still believe the online component for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of is not as good as it should be. So But locally, it's still Mario Kart. I love having friends over. We'll play split screen, we'll play whatever, racing, battle mode, doesn't matter how many players. I've had a lot of fun with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe locally this year, so that's going to be my runner-up for best local multiplayer. But my winner, and I'm curious to see if this surprises either of you, is Snipper Clips. Because there's never been anything like it. Like, literally, what a cool concept. Like, you're literally cutting each other out into different shapes to, either fit into certain shapes or prop each other up to complete certain objectives. I can't think of another game that's ever had the kind of, local multiplayer that Snipper Clips does, and it brought me and my wife hours of enjoyment, and we still, load it up and play it sometimes. And I just think I have to give it the win because there's literally nothing else like it, and it's just so much fun. I love the concept. So Snipper Clips is my favorite local multiplayer of the year.
If I'd actually been able to play it, I would have. I totally agree with you. Because it was like a lot of fun.
It is, yeah. I like how it's definitely unique, but for me, I don't know. I never found it that fun. Like, it led to some really funny moments for me, but I never quite felt it. So I'd much rather play a more action-focused game than the Snipper Clips. So, but I can fair enough. See why.
And that's actually just true. That may be. We only played it in short bursts. We never tried to play it for long, sessions. So I may feel differently if I try to really stick with it for a long time. But for as much as I played it in short bursts, it just remained really fresh in my mind.
Right. So for me, my runner-up for best local multiplayer game was Overcooked. And this is an odd choice for me because I don't know it's a game I particularly want to play again. I find it to be too stressful.
It is very stressful. Did you play with
really
one other person or with multiple other people? Because I only ever did it with one other person. I'm curious what four players
I played with 2 other people, so we had 3 people total.
Nice.
But I have to say, when we were playing it, I did have fun, and it probably... I have not laughed harder than one specific moment during that, I think maybe ever. Like, I lost my shit completely when we were in one of the levels, I forget, and the entire kitchen was like just catching on fire, and one of my friends is freaking out. She's like, "Why can't you handle this? Like, why can't you do this one simple task?" And she was just losing it completely. And as she was like yelling at me, tears are streaming down my face. Like, I couldn't even focus. I couldn't play anymore, but I could not even see through my tears. I was laughing so hard. Like, I could barely breathe, honestly. I have not laughed that hard in forever. So for that moment alone, I have to give it to Overcooked, because that was one of the funniest moments of my life right there. Overall, though, the actual winner is Jackbox Party Pack 3. This game is just too fun. It's easy for anyone to hop in and out of. It has multiple modes. The murder party especially is just a lot of fun. I love the whole murder theme and how they play with it, not just in terms of the presentation, but also like the actual mechanics of it. I like how even when you're out, you're not fully out, and you can come back at the end, from becoming a ghost to possessing the body of whoever's left. Just a brilliant idea all around. And then with it using using cell phones as the input device, it's you have exactly the controllers you need most likely, and it's just really easy for anyone to hop in and out of. And Derek, you were streaming it recently when the game you're waiting for. What game were you waiting on?
I was waiting for Splatoon 2's new update.
And what was awesome was, as you were streaming it, people could hop in and play with you.
As an audience.
Yeah, that's such a cool idea. So I guess, and that kind of like leads into our next category, I guess, being our best online multiplayer games. So Derek, you want to pick it up here?
So I was going to say for my runner-up, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I mean, the thing is... I like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I didn't really play it that much. I didn't really play many online games this year, so this was actually a really tough category for me, and I'm not quite sure if I should be trusted, but I played Jackbox Party Pack 3 twice this year, once with friends locally, had a lot of fun, and again during that stream, which was also a lot of fun, and makes me want to do it more, and people are actually asking me if I could do it more, so that might be a thing now. But yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it, and I honestly think I might have had more fun with that and that one experience than I did with all of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because Deluxe was just so samey, and I didn't get into battle mode, so that might be why I just, I might have to actually give it to Jackbox Party Pack 3, using our cheating mode, cheating ideas to get, new to the Switch, because I did play it on the Switch, that's what I got it for.
Right.
And yeah, just had a lot of fun with it and make that my runner-up. But yeah, I'd love to do more with it. Got to get you guys on too at the same time.
That'll be fun.
Actually
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
So that would be my runner-up. My actual best online, and I might have complained about it before, but I still think it's a strong, fun multiplayer game. I just suck at it. Splatoon 2. Especially when you have both competitive and, thanks to Salmon Run, cooperative. And I've played with friends that I've known in Salmon Run, and holy crap, that makes the experience just so much better when you can all communicate and work together and try to get it done. It just enhances the mode so much more, and I love it for that. And the multiplayer, just still adding on to it with new stages, new weapons. We just got a new mode. Like, it is a very good multiplayer game, and I rarely ever have issues with it like Ash does with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Online. So yeah, I'd still have to give Splatoon 2 my best online multiplayer game.
What about the issue of it not being available half the time to play online?
Well, that's the
Salmon Run.
Yeah,
Salmon Run. Yeah, that part sucks, but what are you gonna do? It's still, like I said, I don't have a lot of options here. I don't play online multiplayer that much.
No, it's a messing around.
Like,
No,
I
think
like I
Salmon
missed
Run
out
is-
on. Like, I never played Rocket League. I still haven't picked up Rocket League, for example.
Oh yeah, actually, man, that gets tough because Rocket League is a great game, but I haven't played it much myself on Switch. So yeah, I mean, had I played it more, maybe that might have made my list. So that's the thing with these Game of the Year things. There's always so many more games you could have played that might be a contender for some of these awards that you just can't get to. There's so many games. So
Yep.
Yeah, and that's kind of ironic. I mean, like, same with you, Derek. I very rarely play online multiplayer games. It's just not usually my jam unless we're talking about Smash or something. So I don't really play a lot of online multiplayer, so this is a pretty difficult category for me. However, my runner-up is actually going to be the Switch version of Rocket League, despite the fact that I haven't played it all that much compared to the PS4 version, because it's Rocket League. It's still, even if the graphics aren't as good, and they look particularly bad online, I would say, I'm just going to put it out there, it's still Rocket League, it still plays perfectly faithfully, and it's still one of the most fun games I've ever played with strangers online. And I've put in a small amount of time on Switch compared to PS4, but it's a smooth experience. I played both on the go in handheld mode and at home in docked mode, and it's awesome in my opinion having Rocket League on the go. It's just a matter of, do I have more time to play it? Not really, and I've already played the crap out of it on PS4. But I mean, it's got to be on my list because it's still Rocket League on Switch, and it's a good version of Rocket League on Switch. So that's my runner-up. But for my winner, I got to go with what you said, Derek, Splatoon 2. I mean, and again, this is coming from somebody who doesn't play a lot of online multiplayer. It's fully featured. Everything I've played works really well, and it runs so much better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, I was really worried about Splatoon 2's multiplayer before it came out because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just so... the connections are so unstable, and that's why it's actually not on my list. I couldn't possibly vote for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Online for best online multiplayer anything, because I could never connect. I'm always getting, when I do connect, I'm getting booted out of lobbies, or I'm having communication errors, and that's true even today. So I gotta give it to Splatoon 2. They've got, they're still adding, new stages into the rotation, new weapons. You've got Salmon Run, even if you can't play it whenever you want. And then, of course, the regular multiplayer is the same fantastic multiplayer it was in Splatoon 1. And you've got, all those great modes. Plus, it's just... I mean, it's Splatoon. It's still really fun. And I can't really point to much that's wrong with it. So I think Splatoon 2 kind of has to be my winner by default because it's just more really good multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I will just leapfrog that, or leap off of that. Take it, steal it, I don't know. Because that is my runner-up as well, mostly for Salmon Run. I thought Salmon Run was fresh, so to speak, and was a really fun time from what I played. I did burn out on it a little bit quicker than I wish I had, but at the time I spent with it, I did really enjoy. But beyond that, I think it's obvious based on my playtime, the overall winner has to go to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I think so.
After all that crap that Ash gave it.
Yeah, I know, right? I think the online's fine for the most part. It had some connection issues at first. I think they ironed those out, and otherwise, I thought it had a pretty strong online component originally, and it's just as good now.
Well, it may be because of the way, I play online. I'll have specific friends that I want to play with, but we don't want to play by ourselves in a private lobby. We want to play with other people. And my God, trying to coordinate getting specific friends into the same lobby with other people is just it's almost impossible. With the way Mario Kart 8 Deluxe works, which, with it kicks people out, and then, the waiting system. and then we'll finally all get in and play, and then we'll play like a race, and then get a comm error, and it's just oh god, I've had so many frustrating nights.
No,
trying to,
I can totally see that. Yeah, I agree. That definitely should be much better. I usually just play by myself when I play Mario Kart Online, so that's not an issue. Connection should still happen occasionally, and those are annoying regardless. But when it happens, it's not nearly as big of a deal. But it's a good group with a whole new bunch of people. So But yeah, they should. I agree. They should fix that. They should make that easier to play with friends. But yeah, even though it's still mostly the same game, I like the dynamic, the 2 items added to it. Battle mode online is fun too, even though I did still do mostly racing, but when I did play online battle mode, that was fun. And yeah, I think when you're actually in the race itself, the netcode's probably some of the better, like some of the best we've seen from Nintendo. Besides maybe, I think ARMS, like overall, has a better presentation and like really good netcode. But yeah, I think Mario Kart overall is a compelling package. Good enough for me to spend multiple hundreds of hours with it. So
yeah.
You know what? Actually, I'll keep. I thought of another game, but that's okay. I'll stay. No, I was actually thinking Ultra Street Fighter 2 had really strong online. I know it's just Street Fighter 2 again, but I do need to at least call it out for the fact that it was Capcom's first Street Fighter game on the Switch. People were wondering, is the multiplayer going to be good or online going to be good? And yes, it is. So I at least have to give Ultra Street Fighter 2 a quick shout out because it may be Street Fighter 2 again, but it's a really good portable online version of Street Fighter 2. Okay. So,
which is a good sign for the collection as well.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, next up we have Best Indie Game. Derek, what were your indie games of the year?
Well, that's the funny thing with me and these indie games. Like, I'm praising like how many indie games are on there, and I got a bunch, but I just didn't have time to play them a lot of times because Nintendo was so much on the ball. So I might have done a Game & Watch for a bunch of different ones, but I didn't actually play it beyond that point. So looking at it this way, my runner-up actually has to be Blaster Master Zero. I don't know if Inti Creates counts as indie. I think it is, but it feels like it is. And I just had a lot of fun with it. Like, I've never played the original Blaster Master, but this one just really pulled me in, and it was a lot of fun to play. Got to play it on vacation. Just really one of the first experiences I had with the Switch and handheld mode. Just a really great time with it. So yeah, that's why I'd give it my runner-up. But my best indie game would have to be Shovel Knight: Specter of Torment. It's just such a great game, such a great addition to it. Specter Knight is just a blast to play, and I just had a lot of fun with it. It really is just it comes down to that. It's fun. It is pure fun, and it controls so tightly. So yeah. Have to give it that.
No, I mean, this is such a hard category for me this year because I played so many indie games this year, and there were so many great ones. I mean, you brought up Blaster Master Zero, which I would love to have on my list. It isn't, but it was another great one. Same with Mighty Gunvolt Burst. Like, there were so many indie games I had so much fun with this year. But my runner-up, and this is ironic because your winner, Derek, is my runner-up. And whoever thought that I would be rating a Shovel Knight game lower than you, but no, my runner-up is Shovel Knight: Specter of Torment, and that really just means it's slightly less incredible than my winner. I mean, I love everything about this game. Like you said, Derek, it is just plain fun. Specter Knight he's a joy to control, to play as, and it works really well as a prequel to the original Shovel Knight, and as you see how these kind of characters revolve around each other until they get to where they are in the original Shovel Knight. And, lest you think that it's just a platformer, so it doesn't have a good story. Any version of Shovel Knight would prove you wrong, and Specter of Torment is no exception there. So, yeah, Specter of Torment, my runner-up, but my winner, which you guys might already guessed, is Steamworld Dig 2 for the best indie game of 2017. I've already kind of touched on it, but it was all I could think about from the moment I did that Game & Watch to the moment I finished it, and I 100%ed it and everything. It's the whole package. It's got perfect controls. They're so sharp. I love the art style. The backgrounds have this gorgeous painterly style to them. The music is super chill, like a great chill out soundtrack, and the gameplay loop. It all comes down to the gameplay loop in Steamworld Dig 2, and you go down, you dig a little further every time, you get resources, but you have to get back up to the surface with those resources to actually cash them in and get money to buy new parts. So if you die before you get up to the surface, you lose everything you've collected. Like, the gameplay loop is so addicting in Steamworld Dig 2, and that is why ultimately it has to be my best indie game of the year.
That sounds like Majora's Mask if you fail to save the world on the third day.
A little with this much lower stakes, but much lower stakes in Steamworld Dig 2, I would say, at least from the gameplay loop. But you're right, it is kind of, if you don't make it up to the surface again before you're able to save and turn in everything, then you I believe, if I remember correctly, you can go back to where you died and recover it, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, it lends a constant state, like a set of stakes to it, because you get richer and richer, but you better you don't want to go too far lest you can't make it back out, and it's so fun, and I love Steamworld Dig 2.
Well, you're making me want to give it another shot. I only played about 10 or 15 minutes or so, and it didn't quite hook me in that time, but maybe I need to give it a little bit more time to understand that loop. So
all right.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, particularly now. So
yeah, I've heard people praise it all year long, or ever since it came out, so I would like to check it out at some point. It's just there's a lot of games on my list to do.
Yeah, I mean, Andre, I would say give it 30 to 45 minutes instead of 15, and then see if you feel differently then.
All right, I'll definitely do that then. All right, well, barring that, my best indie game, or the runner-up rather, is Golf Story. This is a game that kind of came out of nowhere and then released not too long after, and it's kind of a throwback to Mario Golf on Game Boy Color, along with a little bit of Earthbound mixed in, like a kind of the presentation and some of the humor. And it's a cool mix. I don't think the game's amazing, but what it does pretty well, and I like that. It does this it has this cool touch too with the dialogue boxes, where the dialogue boxes are actually incorporated into the presentation of the characters. So if the character's kind of wavering on a thought, the box might move back and forth to kind of convey their thoughts.
That's cool.
It's a really cool idea. And it also makes good use of HD Rumble. So Ash, this might be right up your alley. So,
oh, all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I played a little bit of it. I enjoyed what I played. I just didn't get a chance to go back to it. So
yeah, I mean, part of it too, I didn't finish it myself, but I got distracted by other things, so I might need to go back and actually finish it myself as well.
Gee, I wonder if you got distracted by your best indie game.
Oh, gee, spoilers, Derek. Yeah, it's Stardew Valley. Again, I know this is a game that came out last year, but I'm enjoying it so much, I have to give it credit this year on Switch, particularly with the Switch really being a perfect platform for this game, which you could say about a lot of games, but I feel it's particularly apt for Stardew Valley. But this game is great. For me, it really speaks to, I was one who grew up with Harvest Moon. I loved Harvest Moon back when it came out, even before it came out. I remember I used to, in my 6th grade humanities class, I was reading the Nintendo Power previews for this game. I was obsessed with it. I'm this game sounds amazing. You go on a farm, grow crops, you pet cows. Hell yeah, that sounds great. The idea of being able to run a virtual business really appealed to me. And Stardew Valley takes that concept, expands upon it, and it expands upon the social layer as well, which I touched on earlier with the narrative aspect. Really great game. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I'm still playing through it. I haven't finished it yet myself. I don't know if you can really finish that game. I'm in my halfway through my second year now, or 3/4 through the second year. Or actually, no, exactly halfway through my second year. Having a blast. So that's why it's my favorite indie game of the year.
All right.
So you both need to play it.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, you've been raving about it.
I want to sit down and play it, but there's a matter of time.
Whatever excuses. All right. Well, speaking of time, Derek, this next one
this is perfect.
Yeah. Best game I need to play more of.
Oh, man.
So, Derek, I know Stardew Valley is now your number one, so I'm joking. So what's your...
There's a lot of games on this list, but for my runner-up, I started with... I had one, but I was I really went and add this one too as a runner-up because I really did wish I could have played more of it this year. So we'll start with that one. Dragon Quest Heroes 2. I really enjoyed the first one, and I got to play the first little bit of Heroes 2, and I liked that the changes they were doing, they were really expanding upon it. It had some really great ideas with it, and it felt like a true progression from the original Dragon Quest Heroes. This is the better Warriors game that came out this year for me compared to Fire Emblem Warriors. This is just a better version of that. I really think that because characters are exciting and whatnot, and they're fun to play, and I don't know, they just hit all those right notes. But then everything else came out, and I just had to drop it, and I couldn't get back to playing it. So it's one of those things I eventually want to get back to playing it, but I didn't. Cuphead is the other runner-up because, damn it, I did that Game & Watch for it, and I wanted to keep playing it, and I put it on a list of stream it instead of Sonic Adventure, and it lost. I was like, dang it. Part of me was like, damn it, I should have just overrode the poll that I put out and just do it myself.
Losing the Sonic Adventure is harsh.
Yeah, exactly. You can't beat those Sonic fans, apparently. Yeah. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was just waiting on that. But now that the whole poll's done, I'm probably going to just play it on my own at some point because what I played is just so much fun. I like how it felt like that right amount of difficulty for me when I played it. Like, I just love that aspect from it. And when I die, I just want to jump back in and try to beat that boss or do that next thing. And I can't wait to get back into that game. But as much as I said that, the one I need to play more of is Persona 5. I need to finish it. I've put in a good 65 hours into this game. I'm not done yet. I hear it's like an 100-hour campaign. So I need to put in that last little bit there and finally finish the game. And from what I can tell from the friends I've talked to who have finished the game, I'm right before some big event that's coming up. For those of you who have not played, but no spoilers or anything like that, but I've just finished the beach scene that happens in the game. So that's where I left off. And it's one of those where I've said this multiple times on our podcast where I want to get back to it because I don't want it to be one of those RPGs where, I'll stop playing for now. I got busy with other things. Then you get back to it like, what did I last do? So I've been like forcing this game in my head for this entire year so I can come back and finally finish it. So it is the game I need to play more of.
I feel like 2017 is the year of games I need to play more of. That has been the story throughout the whole year, really.
Yeah, games I need to play: Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata. Put that on the list.
Yeah, exactly. Then, now in the age of DLC, I could easily say Horizon as well, because even though I've finished it, I haven't played the Frozen Wilds yet, and that's another, I need to go back and play more of that. But I was not including games I had already, quote-unquote, finished for this list. So my runner-up, it's a bit of a cheat because this game isn't quite out yet, but we did get to play some of it, and that is Project Octopath Traveler. That is my runner-up. I literally need to play more of this game. It's basically like playing Bravely Third, but in high definition on the Switch. It's got kind of a similar style to it, but then you've got this HD 2D thing they're going with, where you've got these pixelated characters that look like they walked right out of like Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger, set against these like 3D-ish high definition backdrops, but the camera angle is still 2D. So it's really an RPG that we've never seen before visually. We've never seen something quite like this. And
let's put it this way: early front runner for best visual design 2018.
I mean, yeah, and it looks pretty rough in the demo. Like, obviously, it's a work in progress, but you can already tell what they're going for. And I can only imagine that the final, the final form of that, shall we say, is going to look even better. So, Project Octopath Traveler is totally on my radar. I
also
played
so much darker than I expected. Holy
so
crap.
Dark. Yeah, and that also got me into it. Like, I'm surprised by how dark this is. Kind of like, again, the Bravely games. The Bravely games with the art style, they don't look like they'd be that dark, but when you start playing them, they're actually pretty messed up. Same thing with Octopath Traveler, and like the music was great. I love the battle system where, again, it's almost taking a page from Bravely Default, where you can store turns and then unleash all your turns in one go to take advantage of certain battle situations. So I'm so excited about Project Octopath Traveler, but my winner, which you guys might have already guessed, is Nier Automata. I wanted so badly to finish that game before we talked about our Game of the Year stuff, but I couldn't. But it has had me enraptured from the word go, basically. I now see why people love the director, Yoko Taro, so much. He's almost like the new, I would say, Hideo Kojima, in that he's just weird and tries these things that no other directors necessarily would. And some of it might not work, some of it might be a little rough in terms of gameplay, but you can guarantee that you will not ever have an experience, another experience like a Yoko Taro game.
Never played the game yet. I'm playing on it, but my God, that man is a treasure. If you've seen anything on Twitter about the stuff that he's done.
Yeah, no, he's totally a treasure and everything.
He's so honest about things. Like, I'm sure if they pay me money, that kind of thing.
No, exactly. And just like everything about Nier, it's just so interesting. The world, the story, the characters. I mean, again, the only reason I haven't absolutely devoured it is because I haven't had enough time to, but that is my number one priority going into 2018, because I have a feeling from what I played so far, had I been able to finish Nier Automata, it would have been the winner or runner-up in a lot more of these categories. So it's really
it's a good thing you didn't. That might have been a lot more boring if it's winning every award.
Less variety.
Well, I should say it would be, showing up more than it is, which is basically not at all because I haven't finished it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, for me, the runner-up for best game that I need to play more of is Resident Evil 7. As I touched on earlier, it scared me too much in VR, so I need to go back without VR, and hopefully finish it, because I did like what I played, and I heard the game is something special. And it's not even that long from what I've heard, so...
About 10 hours. 10 to 12 hours, I'd say.
That's not too bad. But the ultimate game I need to play more of course, is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. 220 hours is not enough. I spent way more time
noobs.
All right, no, for real. The game I'll spend more time with is Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, I really liked what I played. I want to play more of it, and especially because I want to, compare it more to Zelda, particularly with how, as we kind of touched on earlier, it does, like, those games do kind of complete each other in some ways. Like,
yeah.
What one game does well, the other doesn't, and vice versa. So, and one thing that Horizon Zero Dawn seems to be doing particularly well that Zelda didn't, is, convey more of a story with more of a mystery to what's going on. And I really want to see that mystery through. That's what's kind of driving me through that game. So I need to go back and finish it, particularly because I've been able to avoid spoilers all this time, and I want to keep that up. So, yeah, exactly.
And I've been telling you, Andre, once you do finish it, I've been thinking we should have a discussion on it, because it's very rare for you and I to agree on the same kinds of games outside of Nintendo. Yeah. Like, we almost never like the same games outside of Nintendo games, so we should totally talk about it.
We should, yeah. Definitely, I'm down. So,
nice.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that once I finish up with Stardew Valley in a couple years.
In a couple years, a couple millennia.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us to our final our final category award. We still, of course, have the top 5 left, which will be in a separate discussion. So our final category is the most important game. Now, I'm very curious about this one because there may be crossover with our, top 5 games, or there may not be. I really don't know how this is going to go. But Derek, you want to start us off here with what you think are the most important games of this year?
Really quick.
I want to clarify, not necessarily the best games or your favorite games, but the most important games. And important can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Just really quick to ratchet up the hype, I'm 99% sure that there will be no crossover on my list.
Oh, man.
So just to ratchet up the hype for that, okay.
Spoilers.
This was a rough one to try to figure out, like, the most important one. I have to give, for my runner-up, Kingdom Hearts. I'm playing into my things, but Kingdom Hearts 2.8. And mainly the Aqua portion,
sure, okay,
pass between, because that is our closest look at what Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be, and Kingdom Hearts 3 looks like it's going to be great once it finally comes out, whenever it finally comes out. But to finally have a taste that we can play was very important to me. I felt like, okay, we have a direction. We see kind of where they're going to go with this. We can see what they're going to do with it, and it played beautifully. It's short. It's super short. But just having that taste there was just a very important moment for me. But it has to be, but because it is so short and is very incomplete, that's why it has to be a runner-up. But again, this is extremely personal. For the actual winner, Metroid: Samus Returns. The fact that it exists.
All right.
This is, well, the return of Samus. The fact that she can return and that she has a fantastic game. I love Metroid: Samus Returns so much. It improves upon Metroid 2 so much. It has so many teases for the future and the possibility of more 2D Metroid games. It also shows that the director did not lose his touch after Other M, because same guy. It's just like, okay, he works well in narratives where they don't talk. Let's keep that let's keep him to 2D and make that work. So it does, and it also just sort of enhanced my excitement for Metroid Prime 4. Don't know anything about it, but the fact that Samus Returns turned out so well, maybe it can carry over to Prime 4 as well and hopefully get a good game out of that. But the fact that Samus is back, super important. I'm very glad for it.
She came back once before, Derek, in the original Metroid 2, so...
Yeah, I know, but she wasn't gone that long, so this is more... this is bigger.
That's true. Good point.
So this is already exciting, because I'm pretty... there are so many different ways you can interpret, most important anything. And so I think I interpreted, the idea of important completely differently from you, Derek, because I totally agree. Kingdom Hearts 3, that is also personally very important to me. I totally hear what you're saying about Metroid: Samus Returns, because Metroid is such an important series to you. However, when I think important, I think of important on a macro scale, I guess, on a social scale. And as you guys both know, diversity and representation are very important to me. So that's kind of the tact I took, or the approach I took with most important game, meaning my runner-up is actually Uncharted: Lost Legacy. Not only is it a great game, it's another great Uncharted game, but you got two women in the lead roles, one of whom is both of whom really are women of color. You've got Nadine, who's obviously a woman of color, but you've also got Chloe, who's Indian-Australian, which I also think is really cool. So you've got this game that's a really cool AAA action game, fantastic graphics, top-notch production values, but it's being led by two females, both in the box art and in the game itself. So I think that's really cool, personally, and I think it's very important for obvious reasons. And kind of extrapolating from that, this is a bit of a cheat because I didn't actually play this game, but I want to because of how important it is. And that is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. And that is something it was Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory developed this game, who I like their stuff anyway. But with Hellblade, they actually set out to make a game that very realistically and very thoughtfully portrayed mental disorder, like mental health issues. So specifically in this game, schizophrenia and psychosis. And mental health issues are not something that really get light shined upon them anyway, just in the general social vernacular. Like you don't really talk about it. And so I think it's really cool that basically a mid-tier, it's not a AAA game, but it's not an indie game. It's kind of like a middleware game, got a decent budget to it, but they completely made this cool action game to shed a spotlight on mental health issues. So that has to be my winner for the most important game because that's such an important topic, I think. And I'm really glad to see video games being used to further important social causes. So those are my...
I had no idea. I didn't realize this game existed. I didn't realize it was a thing. I heard it. Of course, I heard about it during the Game Awards. And I was like, okay.
Right.
I didn't know where it come from. I get none of mental health stuff from a game called Hellblade.
No, you don't. It's so funny. But if you read about it, and you'll learn that they actually did talk to mental health professionals when developing the game and when trying, when deciding how to, show the main character Senua, how to show her own mental health issues and how to realistically portray those issues within the confines of a video game. So they really did their research. They didn't play fast and loose with it. They really set out to make something that shines an honest light on mental health issues, and I think that's so incredibly important. And I just, that to me felt more important than I'm so excited about Kingdom Hearts 3, but I interpreted importance in a different way, I guess.
Man, I wish Ash went last because my choices just seem quite
Sorry! Sorry! Oh no!
Damn. No, I mean, those are great choices.
All right.
I mean, I was considering
Andre's getting back to my point of view, my aspect. Huh?
Yeah, I would consider it, a macro point of view as well, but not that macro.
Sure. Sorry, I'm going to make it too serious.
Those are good choices.
No, those are good. It makes me actually interested in Hellblade because I didn't know much about it before this point.
And, Ash, even with your amazing points for those, I think that my runner-up alone actually might transcend both of them.
Oh, damn.
Because Sonic Mania proved that Sonic can, in fact, be good again. So.
Fair enough. That was actually going to originally be my winner. And then, but then I started thinking of importance in this way, and I was like, well,
those were really good
those
choices.
Were good.
So but no, I mean, Sonic Mania, I think is important to on a much less important scale. But for people who are fans of Sonic, it proved that hey, Sonic can actually exist in good games again. Unfortunately, Sonic Forces came out right after.
Sonic had 2 months on top.
As long as it's not Sonic Team that makes it.
Yeah.
But no, I remember when they announced that game, and I'm like, this probably is, to me, I think this is probably the bigger announcement of the two games, and sure enough, it ended up being the case. People remember Sonic Mania for years down the line, and Sonic Forces will be quickly forgotten, I feel like.
Totally.
So, yeah, props to Sonic Mania. They made a good game, and hopefully that will set Sonic on a path where they can keep making good games in the future. Now, my next game, though, my actual winner for most important game is Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think this is a game that, even though I have my issues with it, I gave it one of the lesser review scores, and that it wasn't perfect, yet still high on our scale, but definitely wasn't a perfect score. But I think this is a game that needed to happen. Zelda was kind of spinning its wheels for a decade, close to maybe over a decade even. The guy honking his horn outside agrees, clearly.
Honk if you think this needed to happen for Zelda.
Yeah, and Breath of the Wild, completely, it just burned down, the foundation of Zelda and rebuilt it from the ground up. And I love that about it. Even though I didn't end up loving the game, I loved what they wanted to do with it. And I think it gave it the foundation it greatly needed in order to build upon and make better games in the future. So yeah, I mean, I had a great time with Breath of the Wild, but I think it's important in that it not only revitalized what Zelda is, but even on a grander scale, we won't know for sure until we look back years from now. But it seems like it may have also influence future open world games to come as well. I think it was Game Informer that had a great video of Breath of the Wild from the perspective of other game developers, and it gives you a better appreciation for what Breath of the Wild does from a gameplay perspective and how it may influence other games, down the line. And we won't see the full effects for 3, 4, 5 years. But it might be the kind of Mario 64 style game that influences games for generations to come. So that alone is why I think is one of the most important games this year. Because it writes Zelda, it seemingly, and it seems like it's going to inspire game developers for quite some time.
And even on top of that, it basically sets the Switch on the right path. Like right off the bat,
good point,
game-changing game. And right there was, granted, it was also on the Wii U, but barely anybody has a Wii U. So having it on the Switch right out of the bat, this amazing game that everybody's talked about all year long. That's been important for the Switch, and along with your other very good points.
Well, yeah, I mean, and Breath of the Wild not only got Zelda, or 3D Zelda games out of, something of a rut, but they also, Breath of the Wild also kind of recontextualized what open world games could be, in my opinion. Like, while Breath of the Wild doesn't sidestep every problem endemic to open world games, it does sidestep some of them. And, as someone who doesn't typically like open world games, I feel that Breath of the Wild was able to it was very innovative in the way that it kind of made people like me want to play it as well. I mean, I'm sure it helped that I'm a huge Zelda fan, but normally I wouldn't play a game like Breath of the Wild, but it made it palatable. Like, Breath of the Wild somehow made open world games palatable to someone who doesn't like open world games. So, I mean, that's a huge thing, and I agree. I think Breath of the Wild, for everything it does right and wrong, I think it is going to be a game that that people look back to and take inspiration from for years to come, Andre. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I went to a Bethesda event a couple months ago now, and they had Skyrim on the Switch. And I don't want to downplay its accomplishments as a game when it came out especially, but going to it, which I'd never played before after Zelda, was pretty harsh. Because I was running through this large, like, seemingly really empty world. Like, I think Zelda also could be filled in a little bit, but comparatively, Zelda is really dense compared to Skyrim, where I was running around for like 20 minutes, I'm like, wow, I have no idea what to do here.
Yeah.
And granted, I'm sure there's still fun to be had there. I know a lot of people enjoy it, but for me, after Breath of the Wild, I'm like, man, I don't know if I can play this, so it will be interesting to see how Zelda changes the landscape of open world games moving down the line. So, yeah, I think that wraps up for our category awards for Game of the Year. Part 1, or what might be Part 2 by now. I don't know, this went on way longer than I expected.
Yeah, exactly. Almost an hour 45 at this point.
Yeah, Jesus. So this might end up being a 2-part discussion. I guess by the time you're watching this, you'll already know. But, regardless of how many parts this is, stay tuned for our next part, which will hopefully be one final part, in which we discuss our actual 5 top games of the year for each of us. So thanks for watching, guys, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on Game of the Year and everything else Nintendo as well. And some other stuff. Catch you later. Bye.